Hi guys, Colin here from Precision Optics Eyewear. I'm basically going to show you a quick example of the way varifocals work. I've seen lots of stuff online and I thought doing it this way might give you a slightly different idea of how they work and what they're all about. So a varifocal lens basically is one lens which is smooth and it has three sections to it. At the top part you have your distance, in the middle you have intermediate, and at the bottom you have reading. Okay, now the way it works is the top part is for long distance, television, driving, stuff like that. Intermediate is going to be computer work, stuff that's arm's length, maybe like a desktop computer, dashboard of a car, stuff like that. And reading, obviously for reading, hobbies, crafts, small, close activities like that. Now, when we look at varifocals and we talk about the different qualities of varifocal, it doesn't really mean we're changing anything in terms of the area or how high or low the varifocal is or the size of the sections. What we talk about when we talk about quality of varifocals, we talk about how much distortion you get on the outer edges of the lens. Now, what you'll find is that a very high-end quality lens will have a very minimal distortion at the very outer edges. Okay, so these areas here are areas where the vision isn't the clearest, and it's just the way the varifocals are made. There's always a little bit of distortion on the very outer edges. Now, all lens brands and qualities are all different between each other, but that's basically what you're paying for. The more money you pay for a varifocal, the less of this distortion area you should have. And you will notice it in the distance, intermediate and reading. It may be a slightly different shape, but that's pretty much the area it's going to be in. If you went for a very standard or a very budget type of lens, what you'd probably find is that the actual distortion areas are more increased like this, and you'll find that the clear field of vision in the middle is normally narrower. All right, so you've still got the same areas here. It's just how much width of peripheral vision you've got side to side, which is the clearest. Doesn't mean that these areas here are black or you can't see anything. It's just the vision's not in focus and the prescription isn't accurate as it is in the center. So what you'll find is, say for example, your eye sits about here. Okay, what you'll find is that with a very narrow lens, you're only going to have a little bit of movement left and right with your eye before you start noticing these distortion areas. Whereas if you had a more wider field of vision varifocal, you'd find that your gaze would be able to extend much further out, so it gives you a bit more comfort. And you notice things like that when you're doing something like checking the wing mirrors of your car, or you're looking left and right across the road. You'll find that wearing a lens which has a wider field of vision, a wider peripheral vision, you'll be able to reduce the amount you move your head. Whereas a narrower type of varifocal like this, you may find you have to use your nose and actually point and look at where you're walking to, okay, or looking at. Now, the way that works is exactly the same when it's actually in a pair of glasses, okay, exactly the same. You'd have your distortion areas here, and you have your sections here: distance, intermediate, and reading. Okay, and obviously, if for example you had a better quality lens, the distortion may be more or less depending on the quality that you want. Now, one thing that can be done with a varifocal as well is the height and the area that the reading area in can be different. So what you'll find is you may have a lens which is this quality here, okay, this width, but some people may have a very shallow frame, or they may find that tilting their head back to get into the reading area is a bit uncomfortable. So what we can actually do is we can actually make the intermediate area smaller, and we can actually raise the reading area up. So the reading area starts from here. So this area here would be the reading area, and then it means you maybe get a slightly reduced intermediate area. So that's what we'd call a short corridor lens, because the corridor, being this part in the middle, is effectively shorter. We're lifting that reading area up higher. Okay, so that's not a better or a worse lens. That's very specific to basically your own needs. You know, some people will have a shallow frame and they like to be able to look down and get into the reading area quicker, which is what this would be. They may not do much computer work, so that would be an ideal situation for that. Whereas if, for example, you did a lot of computer work and hardly any reading, you would probably be fine having your reading area down here and having this area here as the intermediate. So I know it's a bit messy, but it kind of makes sense, I think, as you go along and look at what I'm showing you. It's just another way of looking at it, really. So as an example, on this frame here, that's where we've got the distance, intermediate, and reading. What you could effectively do, okay, is you could actually have that reading area up much higher. Yeah. So you still get your distance, intermediate, and reading. Distance, intermediate, and reading. Just you can actually have that reading section up higher. Yeah. So that would be what we'd call like a short corridor, and this would be what we would call something like a regular or a long corridor. So that's just how that works. And the short and long corridor doesn't really have an effect on, like I say, the distortion at the sides. That's more to do with the quality of the brand. The long and short corridor, when I'm talking about this reading section here, is more to do with how high or low that is. So let me know in the comments below if that's been useful for you. Because basically, some people find that when they're using their varifocals, they don't feel they've got the big enough area of reading, which can sometimes mean that the reading area is actually cut off by the frame, and they need that shorter corridor to lift the reading area up higher into the glasses as well. So a little bit of information there. I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. Thank you.